In the temple at the end of the world, Nox complains about the hero from another world defeating the demon lord he raised. He slams a chest piece down in anger. Rin adds that they're always armed with some special power and kill lords like nothing. In fact, the evil god has lost count the times he considered fighting the hero himself. Unfortunately, someone in his position can't meddle with humans, lest he anger the creator. He knows this, of course, but it feels like the demon lord fell way too fast this time. It's true that his creation was defeated in record time. Because of this, the negative energy gathered was too little, and his energy is off balance. It was in the red, and he had to start doing something about it. She suggests that he recreate the hero before the creator does. If he does that, she can cast a curse on his soul that will stop him from being a hero again. Understanding that they can create a useless hero, the evil god quickly accepts. Later on, he asks the reincarnated man before if he has any questions. Haru had a stern and curt look on his face. They basically killed him to bring him into the evil god's own world. With that said, he questions if there's an actual reason they had to kill him. Since he's a higher being, he must have had the power to bring him there without taking his life. He's told that bringing his soul there is a requirement, leaving them no choice. As such, he had him die a sudden and regrettable death that would yield a lot of negative energy he can use for the spell. With the confirmation that he really was dead, the poor human's arms shook in bewilderment. There was nothing to do about it now. At least, he should receive some special skill as compensation for the trouble. Even if he's evil, Nox was still a powerful god. As various classes and abilities he could get flowed through the young man's mind, they called to him, saying they had something to give. Haru confidently vows to make it work, but was nonetheless expecting a cheat skill. To his surprise, he's instead granted a curse on his soul. The chest piece containing it floated toward his body, while he still tried to make sense of the words. As they can't have him running around and making a name for himself, he'll be given a status lock. He doesn't understand what this means at first, but it's exactly as Nox says, and he'll never grow beyond level 1. Haru was going to protest at the unreasonable terms, but he was already being sent away. As the chess piece broke, the evil god tells him to enjoy his new world while he can, refusing to explain even just a bit more before reincarnating the boy. The white pawn broke as the spell was completed. With so much divine energy and most of the evil god's own power, even the creator shouldn't be able to interfere with his plans. Seeing him fall to the ground, exhausted, Rin called to her lord. Given a cane for now, Nox says he wanted to give the boy a low-level job. But with the rules of the divine realm, he'll be granted a third-tier class. Regardless of that, she's certain that he won't be able to defeat a demon king with fixed stats. They won't have to worry about him, as he likely won't even be able to defeat a weak mob. The god lied down, exhausted, and tried to leave everything in his familiar's hands, but he was forgetting an important step in the process. He was at his limit and just wanted to sleep already, but they haven't decided where the boy was going to reincarnate as yet. If they leave him, his soul will drift through the divine realm and will be discovered by the creator. As a mere assistant, she has no power to perform the ritual herself. While he was barely keeping himself awake, he knew he had no choice. Rin quickly brought a dartboard containing all the options they could have. She tells him to just throw the dart without a thought, except, of course, not hitting her with it. It's a necessary ritual that he has to perform even in his tired state. So she set it up and filled the slots to turn the boy into a slave. Nox yawned deeply, believing that his familiar had arranged for things to go according to his will. The dart is sloppily thrown and hits the board above her head. Since he fell asleep right after throwing, Rin was the only one awake to see the metal tip push right through the center of the target. He proves that he really is a god and hits the 1% noble slot that should have been impossible. It was a tool made by his own divine powers, and there was no going back once the ritual was done. Besides, his stats are still fixed, so there should be no way for him to succeed. While his soul floated down, Haru remembered his past life as a teenager and how the evil being reincarnated him with no explanation whatsoever. He was even cursed, but for what reason? What was the point of bringing him to a different world just to curse him? It was dark, and he found himself shuffling under thick and heavy sheets. While questioning if he was really reincarnated and checking if he can move his body, he felt something soft. A woman woke up and apologized, asking if it was too cramped for him. It was Tina. He already knew her from his body's memories. In the 5 years since he was born into the world, she served the boy as his personal maid. Haru apologized to his maid, saying he just had a bad dream. To help make him feel better, she envelopes him in the warmth of her embrace, comfortingly promising to always be by his side. The tenderness of her body helped him drift back into sleep. Half a decade ago, she asked to be the exclusive maid of the child born that day, even vowing to take care of his education when the time comes. It was more than his family could ask for. But why would someone like her offer such a service? Holding the pendant on her chest, she says she's been waiting for him to be born for a long time already. Looking at the sleeping child, she says it's been 5 years since then. Later on, Haru exclaimed in surprise. He expected the evil god to turn him into a slave, but there he was, a noble living a lavish life. As for his curse, he should be able to overcome it with knowledge. Just then, Tina announced that his breakfast was ready. It was a simple but delicious spread of food on the table. To his surprise, he's offered some mayonnaise, which he didn't expect to be in that world. It tasted amazing and was handmade by the attendant herself. In fact, many people can make it as the recipe is actually widely known. He didn't expect there to be a recipe for such an earthly thing, and he finally realized what might have happened. She confirms that a hero from another world brought it there 100 years ago. Apparently, that person introduced many other things and enriched the people's lives. Just like that, his plan to overcome his curse with his earthly knowledge was crushed. The boy fell sullen and swore at the evil god, but his stats were so low that punching a pillow left him hurt. He wondered what to do now. Tina announced that they were going to start practicing magic tomorrow, but his 2 brothers and sister are elites. It's natural that they already have high expectations for him as well. Not wanting to disappoint the maid, he tries to think of a way. The other worlder waved his hands around, trying to summon his status window. It fortunately appeared right before his eyes, allowing him to confirm that his stats were completely fixed at the basic level. While noting not to show it to others, Tina called him over to take his bath. His job as a sage was also fixed at level 1. The 2 got ready for the bath, and the boy raised his arms in childish celebration. To his surprise, she suddenly pulled his shirt over his head and placed her hands on him. Flustered, he insists on doing it himself and makes her chuckle as if it's the most natural thing in the world. She started getting ready to enter as well. Seeing her change makes him turn beet red, but Tina was merely amused that he had reached the age where he feels bashful. Staring at her body and covering his own, he questions if they always bathed together. While she washed his back, he couldn't help but groan from the feeling, making him scream and protest when he realized what he was doing. Still embarrassed later on, he sat on the edge of his bed and suddenly announced that there was no need for her to lay beside him as he wanted to sleep alone. She's confused and asks if she did anything to displease him. Unfortunately, he has the mind of a young man despite being in the body of a 5-year-old. As he can't reveal this to her, he says he just wishes to sleep alone. The maid was shocked, perhaps offended, and asked if he really meant his words. He confirms it, so she has no choice but to go back to her room, which she permits him to enter at any time. With a final good night, she tucks him in and leaves. Now that he was alone, he wondered if that was a bit too sudden. Remembering his mother, he wondered if the people he left behind are sad that he died. The thought stops him from forgiving the evil god. The next day, it was time for Haru to begin his magic training. He's relieved as Tina seemed to be back to her usual self. Reassured, he raised his hand with a simple request to see her status, which she showed her master right away. To his shock, he sees that she's level 250. She jokingly asks if she wasn't enough for him, but he's just surprised that she's that strong. While she's his maid, she also serves as his bodyguard. Now that that's settled, it was time to train as planned. He makes a note to ask why someone like her is working as a personal attendant. To start things off, she decides to show him how the spell is done. She summons and shoots a fire lance, which burns through the path it flew over. The explosion that follows makes him question if it's really a beginner spell. It seems that even she is surprised as they both look at the wreckage caused by her ability. Wanting to show him the best of herself, she got a little carried away. Between her high level and insane power, she must not be an ordinary person after all. Her great-grandfather was actually the hero from 2 generations ago. Thanks to that lineage, it's fairly easy for her to level up and get stronger. With his curiosity satisfied, it was his turn to try the skill out. Something felt off, but he's told to try nonetheless and start by sensing the flow of his own mana. After just a few beats, he starts feeling something warm, moving to his fingertips. It was an incredible feat for him to already be moving his mana at will. He attributes it to her magical assistance, but he says she's barely doing anything to help. For now, he keeps on gathering the mana onto his palms as told, but worries about rousing suspicion if he's too good too fast. He feigns struggle and fails on purpose to keep his ploy, even whining about trying so hard to gather it. Still, doing that on his first try was amazing, making Tina acknowledge his innate talent. Since he's so skilled, they can go ahead and attempt to cast a basic spell. With her reassuring smile, the boy follows and gathers mana into his hand again, but silently hates the fact that he was cursed. He's told to imagine that he has another hand extending from his fingertips. A target appeared before him as he tried this out. The clearer the image, the easier it is to cast the spell. So he thinks about something that was still fresh in his mind. He copies Tina's fire lance, materializing the blazing length with a loud shout. The maid is stunned as he got it, right down to the shape of the flames, even hitting the target accurately. Casting a spell perfectly and on the first try should make him fatigued, but he was fine. Most people suffer from mana depletion after one low-tier spell. Even if it doesn't cost a lot of mana, they can continue practicing, but she limits it to 3 more shots for now. Haru is glad that he can cast magic even if he's stuck at level 1. The day passes peacefully. Tina has to go into town, so she hands him a bell, which he can ring to summon her. Even if she's far away, she promises to come immediately. With the maid gone for the time being, he wants to see just how many shots he can cast, but promises to stop if he gets even a bit tired. He launched fire lance after fire lance, nearly setting the garden on fire. It was endless and the smoke from the blasts was starting to get thick. After firing 30 shots, he was weirdly fine and not the littlest bit fatigued. Feeling something strange, he opens his status window. None of his status values have changed, including his mana reserves. Despite shooting 30 lances, his mana was still full. It clicks that it isn't being depleted as it can't be depleted. To test it out, he casts a few more spells with his window open and confirms that his mana doesn't go down at all just as he thought. The curse doesn't cap his stats, but locks them in an unchangeable state. Depending on how he uses this, he can become incredibly strong with unlimited mana. With his fixed stats, there should be something only he can do, like rapid fire or stack casting. His stomach grumbled loudly enough to interrupt his thoughts. It was already noon, but Tina hadn't come back with any food yet. Wondering if she'll really come back with the bell's call, he swings it around testingly. In the blink of an eye, she appeared, literally flying as she said, and asking if he was safe. The questions about his condition come endlessly, so the boy admits that he just got a bit hungry with the time. Realizing how late it was, she apologized and rushed off to prepare lunch as soon as possible. He felt sorry for calling her over something like that. While he wants to get back at Nox, he also wants to be someone Tina can be proud of and vows to become stronger for her sake. The first creature that Haru ever defeated was a tiny monster. A month into his reincarnation, he chased a horned bunny and asked for Tina's assistance. Following his family tradition, he was on his first monster hunt. Following his orders, the maid moves to hold the target down for her master. An ice wall is summoned with the wave of her hand, completely blocking the rabbit's path of escape. Realizing that it was cornered and had no other choice, it turned to fight back, proving that it was still a dangerous creature despite its size. It was still a monster. Reminding himself of this, Haru faced the being that was charging at him. Tina cried out as the beast pounced, but he was completely ready for it. He creates a fire lance, conjuring a thin and sharp spear of flames. It shot out of his finger to deliver a swift and painless end. As intended, it pierced through the target in one go. This earns him praise from the maid. She led it right in his path of attack, but regardless, he remained calm and composed enough to launch the spell. The focus in his eyes suddenly disappeared. Before him, the dead rabbit lay motionless, robbed of its life by his own hands. Just moments ago, it was bounding around, full of life, and he took that away. The harsh reality hit his mind and made his body shake. Understanding that it must be a lot for a poor boy, Tina envelopes his body in a warm and tender hug. The horned rabbit is weak, but its meat is delicious enough for other monsters to consume. This is simply the way of the world, and defeating them is also part of his duty to protect his territory. In other words, they have to accept and be grateful for the little one's life. Seeing that she was about to butcher it, Haru asks to be taught how to do it himself. His inner strength and resolve makes her smile. The two spend some time applying what the boy learned about butchering and later have dinner with the rabbit's flesh. It's hard to get used to, and he struggled to swallow the food on his plate. On his next bite, tears fell endlessly, and he continued to cry over how delicious the meal was. Watching him tear up, Tina was certain that he'd become a wonderful sage one day. After all, he is someone who respects and cherishes life. There is another reason why Tina has so much faith in Haru's potential as a mage. She could barely believe her eyes when she saw that his spell pierced through her ice wall. There's something else that comes to mind. Every day, she secretly made his target dummy tougher and tougher, as normal dummies would crumble under his power if she didn't do so. Yet, he keeps growing stronger by the day, as if stats don't even matter at all. Because of this, she wonders if he could possibly be that man's reincarnation. Thinking that he would have said something by now, she stops herself from jumping to conclusions. Besides, there's no need to rush the answer all of a sudden when she's already been waiting for him for 100 long years. A lot of time passed and Haru was finally entering the Magic Academy and making friends. As the freshmen are told to gather in the main hall, people start shuffling and a girl named Luna accidentally bumps into another student. She's immediately called a clumsy idiot. Despite her apology, the curses and swearing kept coming. A rat-like boy says she must not realize that she just bumped into a noble's son. This makes her start panicking and asking if there's something she can do. When Haru notices the commotion and wonders if she bumped into the group, another boy says it's the opposite, but the nobles are just bullying her because she's a commoner. If they so much as lay a hand on her, Luke was prepared to fight back regardless of their status. Just then, he's told to halt for now as Haru wants to take care of the jerks himself. He's urgently discouraged from doing so at first, but the patterns and markings on his clothes are recognized. Based on the 3 stripes on his collar, he must come from a count's house. Haru put himself between them, intervening to stop them from harassing her any further. Incredulous over being stopped, Nard questions if they even know who he is. As Haru stared him down without caring, the noble's lackey chimed in, wanting to stand down as he's a count's son. Not wanting to cause a scene either, the boy tells him to step back again. Since he's outclassed, he leaves with his stooges, allowing the others to check on Luna's condition. With Haru insisting that not all nobles are jerks, she stops her tears and thanks him for helping her out. They suddenly surrounded her and started yelling, which was a terrifying experience altogether. Just then, Luke apologized to the count's son, not realizing his status and acting rudely earlier. He's playfully teased for calling the boy an idiot. Fortunately, he was just trying to help too, so there's no need to apologize. With that said, he regrets not being able to do what he did. Haru brightly suggests being friends, much to the young boy's surprise. It's taken a step further, and he's basically threatened into accepting the friendship offer. Flustered, he exclaims with his real voice and eventually sighs in resignation. With this, they shake hands and agree to get along from now on. Luna sees this and says she'd like to be friends with them as well. The noble gladly accepts, introducing himself and even Luke as his new best buddy. While the boy is surprised by the unexpected closeness, the 3 young students quickly get along and look forward to their budding friendship. The entrance ceremony later ends quicker than expected. With class placements tomorrow, Haru invites the 2 to come by his place in the school since they likely live far away. They spent some time following a map, but the boy couldn't find his house. At one point, Luke stops and points at the house in front of them, asking if it's his. It was a mansion, and it was so lavish that the noble was in disbelief. While his friends were in awe, he wanted to scold his father for overdoing it. Tina senses his presence and appears by the doors to welcome him home. Noticing the guests, she's introduced to the new friends her master made today, and she couldn't be happier that he's being amiable in just one day. Since they're there already, he'd love to have dinner with the 2 of them, so the maid asks them to relax in the living room while she prepares a meal. They exchange some small talk, sharing their hopes of being in the same class during the placements tomorrow. What they don't notice is Tina overhearing this short conversation. The next day, the 3 are delighted to find that they were all in the same class. As Haru denied the possibility of his father pulling strings to make it happen, they made their way to their class's designated room, which seemed fancy for freshmen. For now, they decide to head inside to officially start the day. Upon entering, the 3 are met with a particularly small group. With all 10 of them present, the other students introduce themselves, starting with Rifa and Mel, who were eager to be friends. Following them were a couple of students with scales on their bodies, Yoko and his big sis, Ryuka. Sheena, a girl in temple clothes, introduced herself, and it was as if Haru was the only one who could see her tail wagging behind her. 2 identical girls, Mei and Mai, came next. Finally, it was time for the trio to cleanly and brightly end the introductions. They recognize him as the son of Account's family, but he insists that he's just a plain old student there, so they can forget the matter of status. As Rifa smiles at his humility, the others ask if they were given such fine accommodations because he's Account's son. He doubts it in general, but thinks that his father might have had a hand in it somehow. What's more, they are the only group that doesn't have a teacher's name listed. While they talked about this, someone approached from the halls, making their heads turn. Haru notices a familiar figure walking through the door, and he stands up in shock to find Tina in their classroom. She corrects him and asks that he address her formally there. With this, his housemaid introduced herself as their instructor, who looks forward to a great year with them. With Tina's introduction, Sheena recognizes the name as the hero who led the savior and slayed the Demon King a century ago. She confirms that she is indeed that person, sending the entire room into disarray. Her level isn't high just because she's some descendant, but is actually a hero herself. As for her age, she coyly refuses to answer the rude question. Just then, Rifa raised her hand with another question. Her tale is legendary even among the elves, but she should have disappeared with the other heroes. Understanding their doubts about her identity, she lays their skepticism to rest by showing her status window in front of class. She was level 250 already, so why would someone like her volunteer to be their teacher? To that, Tina says that she was bored. Simple as that. It's an underwhelming reply that confuses the students, so she shares how she is actually Haru's personal maid in the family. With him in the academy, her time in the mansion grew dull, so she applied for a teaching position. The boy notices her gesture with her hands, something she does whenever she's lying. He wonders what she's covering up this time. Moving on, they talk about the mandatory battles with the other classes, which are held every month throughout the semester. As everyone is sure to give them a challenge, she encourages them to do their best. Fortunately, the academy is a wonderful place, and they even have full access to the establishment's biggest library. If there are multiple battle requests, a match against the stronger class will take priority. In other words, they'll likely end up battling with upperclassmen all the time. It would be pretty tough to keep up and take control of the students, but with Tina teaching students who are full of potential, she's sure they'll be fine. Haru wonders just where her confidence in them is coming from. To start their lessons off, Tina has the students introduce their magic to the others. For that, she's prepared some targets which they can hit with all their power. Haru notices that they're the same targets he's practiced with ever since he was little. The others worry about giving it their all, but she assures that it'll be okay. From there on, they'll face the matches as a united class, so understanding each other is imperative. Understanding her sentiments, Rifa volunteers to go first. Leading the group and following her instructor, she gathers magic onto her palm and conjures a bow of light. Pulling the string back, she focuses her energy and with one calm breath launches a wind arrow that pierces right through the target. Haru is surprised, knowing full well how tough his maid's targets are. They praise and applaud the first student's display. Up next are Mai and Mei, who are going to be taking the challenge together. As it's a fairly complex spell, they put their hands together and cast in unison. Fire and ice gathered around their bodies, swirling to form one combined ray of magic. The impressive fusion of opposing elements hit the target directly and is likely the reason why they cast in tandem. Yoko steps up, eager to take his turn next. Placing his hand on the ground, he surprises everyone by giving it the form of a dragon's arm. In other words, his magic transforms a body part for combat. He's a half-dragon and half-warrior mage, a combination that allows him to tear the target apart. Luke insists that it broke down from accumulated damage. As Ryuka asks what it's made of, she says it's exactly what she thinks. Hearing this, she takes on her dragon form again, but instead of attacking the target, she casts her magic to resurrect the dummy. They're shocked as she fixed it with a spell meant to revive the dead. It's the healing magic of the dragon priestess, something Tina is well aware of. Her resurrection is unique and can restore anything imbued with mana to the state before destruction. Beings retain mana for a day after dying, meaning she has that much time to bring someone back. Haru finally understands why his maid was so confident. Everyone in the class has been amazing so far, and the remaining 4 are sure to be just as strong. The realization that he has to keep up with them hits. Thanks to the evil god's curse, he's still stuck at level 1 and is likely nowhere near their league. Haru still hasn't told Tina about the evil god's curse and its effects on his level. She then repairs the target and happily moves on. For some reason, Sheena had an odd look on her face. Mel took the stage with Luna offering to empower her with some support magic. She places layers and layers of buffs on the beast woman who's bewildered by the amount. Even the others are surprised by what she does as none of them have ever seen enhancement magic that strong. With power surging and burning through every inch of her body, Mel unleashes a barrage of strikes in an instant. Given the amount of buffs on her, the target completely shatters on the spot. Yoko was stunned in disbelief that he one-upped her by destroying it without a trace. While they praised the two students for being a great duo, Sheena disappeared without taking her turn. Even Tina doesn't notice and says that 8 demonstrations have finished so far. Haru is the only one who feels something off, but given the order, he refuses to go last among the walking cheat codes. Unfortunately, Luke acts first and raises his hand to go next. Believing Haru received insane training under Tina, he similarly refuses to go last. Again, he can't let anyone know about the curse, so he helplessly cries out. Not caring about him, the classmate takes his turn with a bright smile on his face. This disappears as soon as he begins chanting. Odd and intricate-looking magic inscriptions appeared around his body, and Ryuka seems to recognize what the spell might be. With a chilling calm and focus, Luke continued his movements with power they've never seen from him before. Calling for his power to be unleashed, an enormous bolt of thunder blasts the target from above, shattering it into small shards. The students are stunned by their classmate's awesome power, and the crater he left is incomparable to the one caused by Mel and Luna. Rifa is knowledgeable enough to identify an ultimate class spell when she sees it. Tina reveals that Luke is the grandson of Luano, the great sage and the academy's headmaster. Last up is Haru, who still has to use his magic even after all of that. For some reason, his maid says 30% of his power is more than enough, an instruction he doesn't understand at all. She repeats and emphasizes her point, saying the facility will be destroyed if he goes all out. Hearing this, the others note how they were told to give it their all and wonder just how strong he is to be told to hold back that much. Haru misunderstands and thinks that she must have set a weak target for him. Knowing he can only cast lower-tier skills, she must be worried that he's feeling down over being so lacking in comparison. By breaking the target in front of everyone who believes that he only used a third of his power, his pride will be salvaged by his beloved attendant. Regardless, he still has to hit it with all he has to support her ploy. With a mutual understanding, they proceed with Tina casting a protection spell on everyone just in case. Refusing to waste her thoughtfulness, Haru steps up to take his turn. To make up for his weakness, he stacks weak spells and releases mana clusters one after the other. As he gathers his magic, his maid worries and reminds him about using just a third of his power. Unfortunately, he still believes that she's merely acting. Meanwhile, his spell was getting increasingly powerful and complex. Now ready, he had a magic lance humming with pure and concentrated magic. All that's left now is to release it. He shoots the fire lance forward, not minding Tina's warning. A few minutes earlier, Sheena had retreated, not intending to face off against a hero. She was all alone in a special classroom and looking through the equipment, eager to find anything useful. Just then, her peaceful operation is interrupted by a loud blast from outside. Questioning what could have happened, she ran back out to see the facility covered with thick smoke. She was dazed by what she saw. In the middle of it all, Tina stood behind a shattered stone wall. Still smoking from the fire lance, her body shook and her chest heaved with exhaustion. To their surprise, her skin was singed through her clothes, and the instructor was crying from the damage. They wonder why she was there and where the wall came from all of a sudden. She stomped her way towards Haru, who backed up and apologized in confusion. Hearing her repeat her instruction about using 30% of his power, he guiltily asks to know what happened. Still in tears, she scolds him about going against their agreement. She barely managed to divert his spell and save the central district from being obliterated. He was confused and says that he never did such a thing at home, so she finally reveals that she spends hours layering tons or barrier spells at the mansion. In fact, she was just barely holding out against his magic during training. With this, his classmates realized that he's more insane than expected. His stone wall was way tougher than their training dummies, and even a level 250 hero could barely deflect his absurd and unbuffed spell. As she'll need to file an incident report, the instructor ends the class for today. They leave looking worried, but Tina just turns to Haru and orders him to stay behind. Just as expected, back in the academy halls, Haru apologized to Tina again, still feeling bad about the incident. She repeats how she specifically told him not to go all out and shudders as she admits that she thought she was going to die. He's stunned to hear this, more so when she takes the item that probably saved her life. The stone in the pendant she always wore was now a bunch of shards scattered on her palm. It's a magic tool that triggers a one-time shield if she's put in mortal danger. More than that, someone very important to her gave it as a gift. This makes him apologize and urgently offers to do anything to fix it. He reaffirms his promise, nearly begging her to stop crying. Since he's so insistent, she speaks with a hesitant voice and asks that he sleep beside her again just like he used to. This reminds him of the time he asked to sleep alone, but he isn't sure if that's really enough to make up for what he did to her. She insists that it's more than enough and that she just wants to snuggle with him again. Her sincere feelings leave the young man stunned. While he still struggles to understand, he doesn't really mind her request, so she cries again, but this time in gratitude. To his surprise, Tina suddenly lunged in and hugged him tight, finally admitting how scared she was earlier. Returning her hug, he apologizes endlessly, comfortingly patting her head. Her emotions lighten up after a while, and her energy is replenished with their time together. From today and forever, they were going to sleep beside each other again. Later on in bed, Haru asks why she became his maid in the first place. If she tells him that long story, they'll be up quite late, but it doesn't matter to him who wants to hear her story. With Tina's skills, it wouldn't be strange for her to serve the kingdom. His father has some wealth and power, but not enough to hire someone like her who has been rejecting invitations from the state. In this era, there are no heroes summoned from another world, so even the government can't control her who rivals one's power. A long time ago, she fought alongside the summoned heroes to defeat the Demon King. Among them, there was someone she deeply admired. He wasn't the central figure in the group, but whenever he heard of a town being attacked, he was always the first one to rush to their aid. That was the type of person he was. As such, they gained courage from seeing him face monster hordes all alone. Although he wasn't the one who dealt the final blow to the Demon King, she always saw him as the true hero. Before she knew it, she had already fallen in love with him. Unfortunately, their world required summoned ones to return home after fulfilling their duty. He eventually reciprocated her feelings despite making it seem like he didn't have any. While asking if they became lovers, a vivid image flashes through Haru's mind. Flustered, she explains that their relationship didn't progress all that far. It means she probably doesn't have much experience, a thought that makes him a bit happy. Their happy times came to an end when the Demon King was defeated by the party. He tried everything he could to stay in their world, but there was no way around their laws. As a direct descendant of another hero, she has first-hand experience when her great-grandfather also returned home. The stone he broke earlier is the protective tool her lover gave before he left. One day, she felt the birth of someone who carried the same mana as he did. It was his birthday and she believes that Haru is the reincarnation of that very hero. Tina sensed someone with the same magic as her hero being born in their world. She believed that moment that Haru was the reincarnated soul of her love. She could not be wrong about identifying that magic. However, Haru doesn't have such memories. He is a reincarnated soul, but he belongs from another body and not from the hero, and Tina knows this. There were times she wished that Haru was the one she was looking for. When she was watching how he strived to be better and train every day, she saw glimpses of the man she fell for. Over time, she came to love Haru for who he is. She then leans closer and gives him a hug, confessing that the one she likes now is him. Haru clasps her hands and vows to get stronger, even stronger than the hero she dreamed of. He will protect her and the world, and so he hopes that she stays with him. She agrees to staying with him forever. Haru found new goal in his life and he promised that he is going to get strong, stronger than the hero who defeated the Demon King. Just like the hero Tina loved her. He will be strong enough to protect her. The next morning, Tina opens the curtain at the window. She tells Haru that breakfast is ready. She then leans closer to him and lightly touches his face. She closes her eyes and bends, giving him a heart-fluttering kiss. Blushing, she looks forward to their time together. Haru feels the same and aims to be the strongest level 1 sage and be Tina's hero. The next morning, Haru and Tina greet each other. Haru noticed that the lawn is already finalized, surprised by how fast it got fixed. He comments that they have the best craftsmen in the palace that worked through the night. He asks Tina if the training hall he wrecked is still being under repair. She answers that the hall is already fixed as well and good as new. Since he still has a class, he bids her goodbye and goes about his way. While looking at the repaired lawn, it crossed his mind that being able to use every element's magic must be great. Tina's first lesson and introduction with elemental magic was a wild first day at school. Fortunately, his status as the Count's son managed to somehow save him. He is worried what might happen if everyone finds out that he is only at level 1. He arrives at the classroom and still contemplates to use every tool that he got to survive the academy. Right now, he has new goals to fulfill, and that is what's important. Since he is still in deep thought, he is surprised to hear someone whisper to him that his magic yesterday was beyond the normal. When he looks back, Sheena is referring to him, who tells him that she has been there since long before he arrived at the classroom. He suddenly remembers that Sheena wasn't at the training grounds yesterday and didn't see her magic. She freezes for a while and then smiles, stating that he had already seen her magic. She explains that her magic involves masking her presence, making it hard for anyone to detect her. It is not that simple though, as she uses a much higher tier spell, and this helps her dodge physical attacks easier. Since not many can use the spell, it is considered a rare ability. Haru seems confused and asks if she wields another power because of her tails. The girl is surprised to hear this, since it is rare for someone to see her tails. He confesses that he has seen her tail since yesterday, but didn't have the chance to bring it up. Suddenly, Sheena becomes defensive and activates her tail, thinking if she should finish the boy for discovering her secret. Haru gulps and is now nervous after getting himself in danger. He tells her to calm down and states that he does not want to start a misunderstanding with a classmate. She ignores him and continues to contemplate ending him. He argues that she listened to him first, promising to never tell a soul about her secret. She then looks at him with resolve and draws him closer using her tails. In a swift motion, she grabs his hand and gives it a kiss. He asks what she is doing, and she answers that she just forged a contract with him. After the casting, a faded magical crest appeared on his hand. He wonders if this means that he is under her orders from now on and will not be able to defy her words. However, she reveals that it is the other way around. The contract they just made means that she will be the one serving him, and this makes him her master. She explains that 9-tailed foxes like her draw strength from magic. Fully developed 9-tailed foxes can wreak havoc and be a threat to humanity if they wanted to. She admits that she attended the academy to absorb magic and plans to make everyone her puppet using her mind control magic. It will also be great to make the academy her base of operations. Hearing her vile plans, Haru gives her a smack on the head to bring her back to reality. Hurt, she asks why she deserved to be hit when all she is thinking is how they would rule the world. In time, Haru will rule the kingdom and they would walk together to dominate humanity. He then gives her another smack, hoping that it will give her some sense. Worried about her, he implores that she stop thinking about doing bad and dangerous things. She spits at him. Frustrated that he has no greater desire to rule the world with his strong power, he pauses for a while, remembering that he once dreamed about dominating the world after being forcefully reincarnated. Her words are quite tempting. Right now, dominating the world does not interest him anymore. He does not want to be a demon lord and instead dreams of becoming a hero that everyone will look up to. She turns pale when she hears about his plan of being a hero. She asks if he does not plan on exploiting her like the other humans do. Since she can absorb a large amount of mana, many want to use her power for their own selfish reasons. After all, humans have always desired to steal their power and exploit them. Suddenly, Sheena's head starts spinning and she begins seeing images from the past. In a snowy mountain, a 9-tailed fox was spotted by a group of humans. They tried to contain the beast to sell it for a fortune. As Sheena struggled to get away from them, the humans started to target her mother and killed her on the spot. She wailed for her mother, but her voice got muffled by her captors. Because of her dark past, she began to hate humans, especially heroes. The 9-tailed foxes suffered an unfortunate fate because of them, since they chose to eliminate their race or possess their power while it was still immature. Seeing her pain, he tries to console her by gently patting her head. He gives her his word that he will never tell anyone about her real identity, emphasizing that he has no intention of exploiting her power. Hearing this, she realizes that she wasted a contract since he has no plans of using her. He offers that they break the contract, reiterating that he has no desire of making his classmate his slave. However, she reveals that she cannot break it. She reveals that since she used one of her tails to cast the spell, it is too strong to break from her end. When asked if Haru can break it himself, she explains that she also made it impossible for him to dispel the contract in fear of him harming her. The contract starts showing itself to Haru. From what he understands, Sheena must obey all his orders as long as her life is not in danger. She offers him everything that she possesses in exchange for preserving her life. Seeing her surrender to him, he cannot help but pet her. It seems like he has developed a protective instinct towards the nine-tailed fox. The next morning, Luke is surprised to see Sheena sleeping on Haru's lap. Curious, he asks if they are in a relationship. Haru vaguely answers that they are in a unique relationship and tries to wake Sheena up and urge her to go back to her seat since their classmates are about to arrive. She immediately smiles at him and heeds his request, slightly leaning into him to further feel him petting her. With this, Haru gained a submissive demon who can cause natural disasters. Later, Tina and Haru are in the garden when they feel a presence observing them from afar. Tina senses that it is Sheena and tells her to come out from hiding. The nine-tailed fox appears and commends Tina for sensing her clearly even though she is not the master she contracted to. Tina thanks her for the praise but asks why she is following them and about the contract. After Haru explains the situation, Tina cannot help but feel frustrated since the demon basically attached herself to her master. Angered, she activates a spell. Sheena tries to explain that with the contract, she is bound by absolute obedience to her master, so she will follow his wish to not attack her. He places himself between them as Tina points out that, because of the foolish contract, he is bound to protect the fox. He tells Tina to calm down and shows that he has no crest present on his hand unlike Sheena, which shocks the latter. He checks his system and his status is still cursed. Turns out his crest has faded because of his curse. He simply finds the little nine-tailed fox cute and feels the need to protect her. To pacify Tina that the little fox will not be a problem, he tries to command Sheena. He tells her to spin around and meow, which is immediately obeyed by the fox. Haru shows Tina that he has everything under control, so she does not have to worry. With a conflicted expression on her face, Tina states that even though Sheena cannot hurt Haru, she can hurt other humans. With this, Haru simply tells Sheena that she is forbidden from attacking humans unless he gives her permission. Sheena agrees and this should help solve their problem. Haru also makes sure that he will keep her by his side so he can keep an eye on her. Tina mentions that keeping a demon by his side is dangerous. Additionally, since Sheena is a girl, she would be dangerous for Haru's virtue because they will always be together. While watching them argue, Sheena anticipates Tina's doubt of her. She is resolved on defeating Tina for attention of Haru. Even if Tina is the personal maid of Haru, still she just has to attach herself to him and make sure that he leans on her instead. Next, she needs to conquer Haru and find a way to monopolize him. Once night falls, she will use her charms on her master. The mere thought of getting closer to Haru makes her smile mischievously. The night falls and Tina is already in her sheer nightgown. She marches towards her master's bed, but becomes frustrated when Sheena beats her to it. Sheena explains that the safest spot for her is next to her master. She also questions why Tina seems like she is planning to sleep next to Haru as well. Tina admits that she will sleep with Haru, but the fox points out that it is wrong since she is their teacher at the academy. Frustrated, Tina replies that there is no rule in the academy that forbids her to be with her master. Wanting to rest, Haru calls Tina to sleep on the other side of the bed. Hearing this, Tina immediately perks up and moves closer to him on the bed. He then tells Sheena to scoot closer and they finally fall asleep. The next morning, Tina wakes up early to cook breakfast. She then takes a look at her master sleeping peacefully beside Sheena in her fox form. Feeling warmth in her heart, she smiles at him thinking that she cannot be mad at her innocent master. Later, Sheena is now awake and takes a peek at Tina who is cooking breakfast in the kitchen. The nine-tailed fox glances at the food prepared and comments that it looks delicious. Tina offers her a bite, which Sheena accepts. The girl munches on the dish and is delighted when the waves of flavors burst inside her mouth. She states that she has never tasted anything that flavorful in her life. Tina tells her that the dish is Haru's favorite. The girl pauses for a while and looks at the dish in front of her. Tina sighs and offers to teach her to cook the meal as if reading her mind. The nine-tailed fox brightens up just thinking that she can also make a delicious meal for her master. Tina smiles at her and promises to teach her since she will be staying in the same mansion as her master. Later, Tina is teaching Sheena the dish. The girl drops many eggshells into the bowl, but it is not a bad start for her. Next, she carefully pours the egg mixture into the pan. Tina tells her that the tool she is using is made of copper, which has excellent thermal conductivity to make the egg fluffy. Moments later, the dish is already done, and Sheena tastes it first. She is amazed that simple eggs could transform into an elevated dish. After successfully teaching her how to make an omelet, Tina is excited to teach her how to cook dishes with broth later. The fox imagines what Haru would tell her once he tastes her omelet. She then asks Tina if their master is still sleeping. The maid answers that he should have just finished running and practicing magic in the backyard. True enough, when they look below from the window, the boy is already practicing how to fire magic. Tina recounts that he is such a tenacious kid since he was 5 years old. She fondly smiles at the memory and reveals that the reason why there are such potent defensive barriers around the mansion is because of her master's unshakable resolve. He is always ready to learn new things about magic and practice it. He is quite a hard worker. This is one of the reasons why she loves Haru so much, and Sheena agrees, starting to like the boy even more while observing him. After his training, Haru enters the mansion and is greeted by his 2 servants. Sheena excitedly shows him the omelet she just made. He is surprised that Tina taught her the dish. The maid chimes in, saying that she cannot let the fox stay there for free. He takes a bite of the omelet and is immediately impressed by how it was perfectly cooked. Sheena is delighted to hear that her master liked her cooking. With this, a new member has just joined their growing family. A few days later, Tina announces in class that a class match will be held in 3 days between the freshmen and the 7th years. Since they are up against the seniors, they cannot help but feel nervous. Tina adds that it is a 5-on-5 gauntlet match. She tells them to believe in their own power since she knows that they are stronger. Later, the freshman representatives are Haru, Luke, Rifa, Mel, and Yoko, and they are up against the 7th class representatives comprised of Nard and his lackey. Both classes line up facing each other while Luna, who is watching from the audience, is surprised to see familiar faces. The seniors mock them for looking so demanding that they give up their nice classroom that Haru's father surely pulled for them. Luke recognizes them as the bullies who harassed Luna at the entrance ceremony. Haru agrees and adds that they seem to volunteer to fight against them to get even. With this, he assesses their acquired mana, wondering how strong they are. However, he gets disappointed when he sees that their mana level is way too low for seniors. Both him and Luke are in disbelief after learning their incompetence, blurting out their uncertainty if they deserve to study in the academy. They cannot believe that they are even worthy to become their opponents. Then they notice Luna being upset. Worried, the girls ask what happened to her. Since she is starting to look pale, Rifa gently presses her to talk. A little hesitant, she eventually shares that the seniors they are about to face were the ones who harassed her at the entrance ceremony. Fortunately, Luke and Haru were there to help her. Rifa advises her to rest at the infirmary for the meantime while she is unwell. She refuses, saying that she wants to cheer everyone. Back in the arena, Nard and his friend, Tom, make fun of Rifa. Since she is the one to fight, Nard calls her lucky because she will enjoy his techniques. She looks at them with disgust, calling them trash. She walks over the arena and tells Luna that they will have their victory party soon at her favorite restaurant, and so until then, she should keep cheering for them. Yoko and Mel are watching from the sidelines, waiting for their turn and cheering for Rifa. Yoko sighs, commenting that the fight will be finished in no time and would not be much of a show for the audience. Mel agrees with her sentiment. At first, she was worried because they are upperclassmen and this made them sound formidable. But after facing Tina's gargoyles, nothing can faze her anymore. Meeting the seniors now, she can sense that they are definitely weaker than them in terms of mana amount. Honestly, she finds it impossible that there is a chance of losing the duel. However, Luke comments that they should not let their guard down. They are not sure if they have secret weapons of some sort or some tricks under their sleeves that they could use against them. Rifa agrees with him and tells everyone that they should still be careful. She urges them to relax for now, adding that she will handle the fight for now. Haru wishes her good luck. Tom goads her into attacking first, determined to show her that their fight will end in his favor. She finds it reckless that he is asking her to fire first. Feeling underestimated, she draws her arrow and gathers an incredible amount of mana around her. Mai climbs up the railing to better see Rifa. She is amazed by how great of a wind master she is. While engrossed in watching the fight, she does not notice that Rifa's wind is coming their way. It knocks her over and she falls from the railing. Fortunately, Haru quickly reacts and saves her from falling. He is surprised by how light she weighs. Their faces are accidentally inches away from each other, making him blush. Suddenly, her twin sister Mei arrives to pull her away from Haru. Mei goes into defensive mode and protects her from him. Mai tries to explain how he saved her to calm her down. Mei thanks Haru for saving her twin but warns him about getting too close to her. Meanwhile, in the arena, Rifa has just unleashed her wind power, surprising her opponent with the amount of mana she has. Luna cannot take her eyes off Rifa and watches with the same intensity as Haru and Luke. Tom grits his teeth in frustration, his ego wounded that a first year like her has more mana than him. He activates a shield spell while Rifa unleashes her blast arrow in his direction. Sweat forms on Tom's forehead as he is being pushed back by Rifa's power. She slightly frowns after accidentally slipping her wind power. The other students panic when Tom flies in their direction by the impact of the attack. The barrier that should have been protecting them gets shattered, and so the students are also affected by the blow and are all sent outside the arena. The first years cheer upon the clear victory of Rifa. Impressed, Tina walks over to the arena and praises her student for wiping all her opponents in a single move. She adds that there is no way some random teacher's barrier could stop her student's magic, sending the teacher on edge. He calls the attack foul because it came from outside the arena. However, another teacher points out that the victory still belongs to the first years because the other members of the seventh years are now all unable to fight. They never expected a teacher's barrier to be shattered by a student's spell. Insulted by this, the teacher declares that the other 4 students injured were not officially part of the contestants. With this, he calls for another student named Edgar, saying that he is up. Sleeping, the student suddenly wakes up confused that he gets a turn. Now up, he passes the book covering his face to his classmate, Rika. She updates him that Rifa just defeated 4 of their classmates and that they were demanding a rematch. Since the freshmen agreed, they should send another batch of seniors to fight them. Even though he has no right amount of sleep, Edgar has no choice but to fight. Meanwhile, Tina commends Rifa once again for her incredible spell. She then asks her to withdraw and have Yoko duel the next representative from the seniors. Ryuka grasps her brother's hand, saying that he has to win even if it means dying. Pressured, he agrees to her words. Meanwhile, Tina starts to strategize the upcoming fight. She purposely puts Yoko next since he is great with close combat like Edgar. She did not expect the boy to step into the ring since he has always been so nonchalant about the things around him. Yoko stretches his arms, stating that he should finish the fight with a bang like Rifa. Eyeing his opponent, Edgar asks if he is a dragonkin. Yoko confirms this and states that he might sound cocky, but he is a strong opponent. The senior agrees since draconians are known to be formidable. He sighs, admitting that he does not want to fight Yoko but has to. Meanwhile, the senior secretary spots their class president Rain standing there and watching. Busy watching, he calls his attention and asks about the mountain of workload he still has to do. Rika looks at him, feeling bad he has to stay up all night because of his duties. Rain assures him that he can finish the paperwork on deadline. Back in the arena, Edgar has his focus on the audience and mumbles that he refuses to lose to anyone but their president. Clueless, Yoko is confused at first but chooses to focus on their fight instead. He wants to show off a bit in front of his classmates, and so he unleashes his dragon form. He lunges at his opponent, declaring that he will wrap up the fight in a single blow. He strikes Edgar with his dragon claw, but the senior manages to put up a barrier before he can reach him. With this, Edgar seizes the opportunity and strikes him while his guard is wide open. Yoko falls unconscious after the attack, hailing Edgar as the winner for the round. Ryuka rises from her seat after seeing her brother knocked down, worry etched on her face. Ryuka rushes to the infirmary to follow her brother, stating that he is a fool for lowering his guard down. However, Haru points out that he did not lower his guard. Edgar is just simply a stronger opponent. Ryuka's expression softens, mentioning that she will make sure to praise her brother when he wakes up. Tina agrees with Haru on his assessment of Edgar. The young man is one of the Academy's elite sages, and he is even on the student council. When asked if she can predict his movements, Mel admits that she can track his movements, but his decoy attacks are what is difficult. Tina tells Luna that it is her turn to fight. The student is shocked since she is not a good fighter. The teacher suggests that they use her buff spells to provide support for Mel while she is up against Edgar. Confused, the student asks if the buff can actually pass through the barrier and if support magic is allowed during the fight. While Luna is providing support buffs for Mel, Tina emphasizes that giving support to the combat types is only fair. She adds that only students from the same class can help. With this, Luna did not hold herself back when powering up Mel. Edgar seems amused by the way things are unfolding. He is now up against a beast and an enchanter. In honesty, he just wants to sleep, so he must make this fight short. Mel declares that she will avenge Yoko. The senior laughs at this, pointing out that they are the ones who wiped out their representatives first. He then senses that his team is using support spells for him too. Rain notices that they are using the same cheat and states that Edgar hates these kinds of things. Rika points out that the match is over since the teacher stepped in and broke every class battle rule. Mel can absolutely feel Luna's support spell bubbling inside of her. It feels amazing, and she can tell that her power is boosted because of her. She plans to go all out so her classmates' effort will not go to waste. She then leaps and raises her fist against the senior. She strikes with incredible speed, but Edgar manages to block all of her attacks. She accidentally hits another decoy, which helps Edgar to evade her fist. She clenches her jaw in frustration. The young man is not only using decoy spells, but can perfectly detect her movements, which hinders her from landing a blow on him. Fortunately, Luna gives her an extra boost, which keeps her going. She unleashes another attack and thinks that it landed, but it turns out to be another out-of-bounds strike that breaks the barrier once more. Enraged, she spits at him for always dodging and not even attacking. Edgar goads her into landing at least a single blow. He has a buff spell on his legs that makes his movement much faster. This makes him even more confident and sends Mel on edge, and she unleashes an aerial kick at him. The kick lands on another decoy, which frustrates Mel even more. He commends her for having strong legs. Seeing her opponent unfazed, she acknowledges that if the fight goes on, she will likely lose. So, it shocks her when he voluntarily gives up and declares defeat. He is out of mana and strength, and he is completely spent. He then tells the referee that he is officially forfeiting the fight. Other than this, he just hates using support during the fight since his victory would not mean much now. Since no one else can still fight, the referee declares that the match is over and the winner is Mel. She walks up to Edgar and asks why he forfeited the fight. He apologizes to her for not finishing the fight, but admits that it was a pretty fun fight. Tina regrets that Haru and Luke did not get the chance to showcase their abilities. Haru assures her she does not have to worry about it, since they're class 1. Luke chimes in, mentioning that he is not sure if he could have beaten him. Haru states the same for himself since there were a few spells that he wanted to try but with no guarantee that he would pull them off. Meanwhile, the teacher rushes to Edgar, angry that he made him a decoy. With the injury very evident on his face, the teacher lashes out asking why he used him as a decoy. Edgar ignores his anger, so the man threatens to punish him severely for using him. Just then, Rain appears and accuses the teacher for blatantly cheating in the fight earlier. He points out that his secretary recorded something very interesting and shows it to him. After showing him cheating, Rain tells him to stop harassing Edgar, who just refused to cheat in the game. He then grins at Edgar and comments that he is as grumpy as ever. Upon seeing the senior, Rifa comments that he is familiar to her. Tina tells her that he is none other than Rain, the student council president. He must be familiar to her from when he gave the freshman welcome speech. He is known in the academy as the strongest mage. Hearing this, Haru contemplates that if they ever face the man, it would definitely be a challenging fight. He then asks Tina if they have the chance to actually win against Rain. They just have to train intensely, and this will surely be attainable. Mel feels the tiredness in her bones from non-stop training ever since they enrolled in the academy. It comes to a point that she does not want to do anything and just wants to lie in her bed. Luna enters the room and cheerfully greets her. She then gives her a box of Valentine's chocolates as a sign of friendship. Mel pauses for a while and realizes that the special day slipped her mind. Valentine's Day became a custom in their world that was influenced by the heroes summoned from another world that have also enriched the lives of the people there. Since chocolates can be easily made in their world, the tradition of giving it during a special day was easily recreated. Realizing her mistake, Mel marches out of the classroom and bumps into Haru. Luna apologizes on her behalf, saying that she has been spacing out ever since the match has ended. She then greets him good morning and hands him a box of chocolates as a sign of gratitude for saving her during the entrance ceremony. Since he is quite special, she adds a little extra chocolate for him. The boy expresses gratitude for receiving chocolates from her and remembers that he has not received chocolates from Tina and Sheena. Just then, the twins, Mai and Mei, enter the room and accept chocolates from Luna. The twins are quite surprised by the gesture, since they are clueless about Valentine's Day. Hearing this, Haru realizes that the twins are not human beings. Remembering his interaction with them earlier, he can say that they are definitely otherworldly. Mai expresses that they should give Haru chocolates as well as a sign of gratitude. However, Mei disagrees, still grumpy about the incident earlier. Curious, Haru wants to know why Mei is so indifferent to him. The morning begins peacefully as Tina greets everyone. She brings out a freshly prepared chocolate cake, drawing admiration from them. She asks for help handing out desserts, and the others quickly agree. Suddenly, Haru hears Mel's energetic voice as she returns. She arrives carrying trays of hot chocolate, adding to the festive mood. Tina finds her timing perfect as Luna helps Mel to distribute the drinks. Suddenly, Rifa is surprised after noticing a gold coin hidden inside her cake. Tina reveals she placed a lucky prize inside on purpose, prompting Rifa to react emotionally and treat it as a treasured blessing. The girls happily look at Rifa as she feels her emotions. Haru reflects on how Valentine's Day was introduced by summoned heroes long ago, using chocolates as a way for friends and lovers to express their feelings, letting friends and lovers express their hearts and strengthens their bonds. A sudden realization hits him as he checks his hands. Haru finds it funny that the girls give chocolates just like in Japan until he senses something strange and wonders if he's missing something important. Haru panics when he realizes he didn't receive a single chocolate from Tina, recalling how she always gave him something first every year. He tries to reassure himself that Tina must have prepared something special. Convincing himself not to overthink, he heads home back at the residence. Time passes quietly and he is disappointed that nothing happens yet, until Tina finally appears at Haru's door, asking for a moment of his time. She apologizes for being late and explains her preparation for the special technique took longer than expected, triggering Haru's confusion. Tina nervously presents her handmade chocolate meant only for him, while Haru can't believe that it is something the heroes from 100 years ago passed down to them. Tina shyly admits that she feels embarrassed since it's their first Valentines as lovers after all. She anxiously asks if she did it right. Haru sincerely praises the chocolate, saying it's amazing as he silently thanks the summoned heroes from a century ago. Tina is visibly relieved and overjoyed by his reaction, then she asks him to go ahead. Suddenly, Sheena bursts into the room without warning, asking if Haru is okay. Chaos erupts as she proudly announces her own chocolate creation, prompting Tina to react in shock and embarrassment. Later that night, Haru reflects that every chocolate he received this year was absolutely delicious. Inside the academy dormitory late at night, a board game match reaches an unusual state with no space left for the black piece. Mel realizes the board has been completely flipped to one color. Luna is shocked after she wins as Luna praises her for being strong. After so many rounds of losing, Luna decides not to hold back in the next round. The game resumes as she confidently places her piece. The next day, Luna explains that she invited Mel for a sleepover to cheer her up. Haru tries to console Luna as she feels bad enough about Mel. Silently, Haru notes that Luna isn't just good at board games, but also sharp-witted and knowledgeable about magic. Even in class, Luna breezes through difficult questions with ease. Yoko and Mel struggle more with theory despite strong physical ability. Haru reflects that the class itself is unusually intense. Meanwhile, at the student council room, Haru remarks that there's a lot unusual about the first-year class. Luca, the headmaster's grandchild, already wields grand magic as a freshman. Luna is identified as a spellbreaker from an unfavored class who still entered the elite academy. Rifa is mentioned for defeating 5 top-tier seniors at once. Mel is noted for fusing martial arts with magic. Meanwhile, Connie reports that a dragon girl in the class possesses incredible healing power while he investigates another, describing the whole class as a total anomaly. Rain notes that the class is called the legendary class of Tina, prompting Connie to investigate the matter further. The room is filled with plushies and snacks, explained as donations sent to an orphanage under the academy's name. Meanwhile, someone is surprised Sheena is a demon, prompting her to confirm that she serves Haru faithfully as her master. Her status proves she is truly a demon. Luna is shocked to learn Yoko is level 99. She explains she does no evil unless ordered by her master. She reveals her specialty is mind control magic. Sheena adds she could enslave lower-level beings if she wished. Luke and Yoko confidently respond that they are both fine, shocking Haru. Rifa reveals that Sheena could have taken her down, since she is just level 80 after all, prompting Haru to feel relieved that he made a pact with Sheena before she did anything rash. Meanwhile, Ryuka shares that she is level 62, while Mai, Mei, and Mel are all level 60. Luna admits she's only level 52 and is amazed by everyone else. Suddenly, Haru senses something familiar about the situation. Ryuka reassures Luna and explains that her growth is exceptional for an enchanter support class. The group praises Luna for always saving them, telling her to be proud. She happily agrees and thanks them as Haru feels left out. Thanks to Haru, Luna says that they can study without fear of Yoko's mind control. He laughs, saying Yoko acted on her own. Silently, he wonders what he should do next until he decides it might be time to reveal his own level. Haru notices that everyone is sharing their status screens except him. Realizing he can't keep his secret hidden forever, worried about his curse being revealed to everyone. Haru is determined to apologize to Tina for keeping quiet. He finally finds the courage to reveal his level, but Luke stops and insists that there's no need to show Haru's status as he doesn't want to see it. Haru looks surprised by his reaction. Luke admits that before enrolling, he believed only the headmaster could be stronger than him in the academy. He recalls meeting Haru and realizing just how wrong he was about his own assumptions, acknowledging that Haru is far stronger than he is. Silently, Haru finds the misunderstanding in favor of him. Rifa agrees with Luke, making Haru unable to explain himself any further. Yoko casually explains that chasing after high goals too seriously can ruin a person, while Ryuka agrees and admits she doesn't want to see his status either. Haru relaxes, saying it's hard to show something like that after everything they discussed. Meanwhile, the class arrives at one of the training sites managed by Academy deep inside the Steel Forest where the class will take place. As they walk through the grounds, Luke says that this area is usually reserved for 5th years with monsters still roaming nearby. And despite their surprise at being given permission, they are told to begin training solo. Hearing that today's lesson involves fighting monsters, Yoko casually suggests turning it into a contest to see who can take down the most. Rifa finds his idea fun and suggests teaming up. Luna feels worried since she can only provide support, but Luke asks her to partner with him instead. Yoko decides to pair with Ryuka. While Rifa and Mel team up, Mai and Mei decide to pair up as sisters, confirming their teamwork. Sheena states that he'll naturally pair up with her master while he happily agrees. Someone suddenly questions whether they plan to fight at all, teasing him for slacking off. Tina appears out of nowhere and notices that everyone has gathered and is ready to begin scaring Sheena. Rifa looks at her with nervousness in her voice. Tina warns everyone to be careful and hands him a bracelet for emergencies along with a whistle. Haru inspects the bracelet with surprise as Tina plans a hunting competition all along. Yoko admits he overheard the idea and found it exciting. Tina explains that the magic device records both the number and rank of monsters defeated. She clarifies that defeating monsters won't raise their levels and that the exercise ends at noon. She adds that cooperating or competing both have value beyond simple experience. With a cheerful clap, she announces the official start of the training. Yoko and Mel dash forward into the forest, ready to begin the hunt. The group realizes they have drifted far away from the others while moving through the forest. Sheena energetically brings up the idea of hunting the nearby monsters, clearly eager to act. As they walk together, Haru asks if her mind control magic can work on monsters, hinting at a different approach. They discuss how troublesome it is to find a monster that can actually be controlled, weighing the practicality of the idea. Haru calmly steps forward and begins forming magic in his hand, signaling that he will handle the situation himself. Haru extends his hand as a fire orb forms, its heat spreading while Sheena watches from behind. She calmly observes the glowing ember, recognizing its stability and control. Haru shapes the fire orb further, treating it as a core while reinforcing it with additional elements. The magic begins to shift, the flames twisting as the orb starts taking on a beast-like form. The transformation intensifies, the fire fully warping into a living shape as the power surges outward. Sheena is shocked after seeing Haru summon a horse. He reinforces it with layered magic, adding resistance and armor to stabilize the construct. The weapon continues to evolve as its structure hardens, focusing on raw piercing power. Haru coats the weapon with wind magic, sharpening its speed and penetration. The process finishes with the completed fire lance crackling with energy, ready for use. Sheena freezes in shock as she realizes something unexpected is happening right in front of her. She reacts strongly, recognizing the spell and realizing it's far beyond what she first assumed. Multiple fire constructs finish forming around Haru, showing that he has created more than just one. He raises his hands and sends the fire knights forward, commanding them to hunt the surrounding monsters. The creatures move in unison as it becomes clear he is controlling several high-tier summons at the same time. Haru notes the summon knights wielding fire spears, explaining that the weapons were shaped to match their forms. Sheena immediately worries that Haru is pushing himself too far by maintaining so many advanced spells at once. She casually asks if he wants to draw a bit of her mana, treating the situation far more lightly than expected. Sheena freezes as Tina suddenly calls out to her. The focus shifts to the bracelet as Tina reminds her that class time is still ongoing. Luke and Luna suddenly hear Tina's authoritative voice. She explains that the bracelets are actively monitoring everyone for student safety. Tina sternly warns that any inappropriate behavior will result in immediate disqualification and a failing grade. Sheena protests in frustration as the instructor firmly shuts her down without room for argument. Tina reminds that if they remove the bracelet or skip class, they will lose their dinner privileges for the night. Sheena reacts in disbelief, clutching her chest as the punishment fully sinks in. She complains bitterly about being deprived of the instructor's cooking, treating it like a cruel ordeal. Meanwhile, Luca quietly reflects on the warning, piecing together what the instructor was really implying. He draws sketches, hinting at a plan forming as he considers the situation more carefully. Luke and Luna comment on Haru's circumstances, noting that he seems to be having a rough time as well. Luke casually points out Luna's feelings, putting her on the spot without hesitation. She flinches in shock, clearly caught off guard by how directly it's said. Panics, it becomes obvious to Luke that her feelings were never subtle to begin with. Luke reflects on Haru's actions, realizing he may have been giving Luna an opening to stand beside him. She quietly recalls Haru's words about the entrance ceremony, sensing that he was gently guiding her forward. Luke double-checks in disbelief, only to realize that Haru really did say those things without overthinking them. It clicks that his suggestion about extra chocolates happened back during Valentine's, making his actions unintentionally meaningful. Luke starts to say more, hesitating as his thoughts linger on Haru's usual lack of awareness. The moment is cut short when he spots a wolf lurking nearby, shifting her focus back to their surroundings. Luna stays alert as they identify it as a steel forest monster, realizing it isn't attacking seriously yet. Luke explains that even if they defeat the wolves, it won't increase their levels since they are only training replicas. The wolf lets out a low growl as Luna watches quietly, taking in the situation without reacting. Luna warns Luke that something feels wrong with the wolf as she casts a support spell. Luke steps in front of her, reacting instantly to the threat. He thanks Luna for the assist while focusing on the enemy. Time seems to slow as multiple wolves charge together. Luke blocks a heavy attack, realizing their strikes carry unusual force. Luke questions whether this forest is really meant for a lesson. He tells Luna to brace herself as he counters. An explosion erupts where the wolf strikes. Luke confirms one enemy is down as dust settles. He remains alert, sensing more danger nearby. The forest grows unnaturally quiet, amplifying the tension. Luke identifies the enemy as managnomes. He notes they are high-rank monsters with magic resistance. Luke senses something abnormal in both their aggression and numbers as Luna asks for instructions as they prepare to move. Suddenly, Mel charges forward without holding back, drawing attention. Rifa shouts that she has the monster's focus and attacks. Mel praises the timing of the strike. Rifa thanks her for acting as a decoy. The battlefield reveals even more monsters closing in. Meanwhile, another student realizes there are far too many monsters as giant scorpions are sent flying above. He slams them with brute force, clearing the immediate area with confidence. Yoko confirms the path is temporarily safe. Yoko jokes about the defeated monsters looking appetizing, while Ryuka firmly shuts the comment down. Luna notes that the enemies keep coming one after another, showing no sign of slowing. Standing amid the remains, she reflects on how intense the lesson has become. Ryuka calls out to him, trying to break the heavy mood. He snaps back at her as she mocks his studies, turning the tension into bickering. Mai suddenly pauses, sensing something subtle in the air as her expression turns uneasy. When asked about it, she admits she feels a faint disturbance, though she can't clearly explain it yet. She focuses, trying to pinpoint the source of the sensation growing around them. Mai wonders if it's simply monsters nearby, but she quietly denies that explanation. Mai compares the feeling to the presence of a powerful lord she once sensed before, hinting at something far more dangerous. Mai reasons that the Fire Spirit King wouldn't be present in a place like this, deepening her concern. She adds that the sensation feels even stronger than Lord Ifrit's presence, leaving the others confused. As they move on, someone checks on Mai, worried that she might not be feeling well. Meanwhile, Tina's system shows the monsters acting strangely, confirming that their behavior is abnormal. She firmly rejects the idea that this is normal, realizing something is seriously wrong. Tina questions whether the monsters are being influenced by something outside the training area. Attention shifts back to the forest as tension builds, suggesting an unseen presence watching them. The wolves pause and move in coordination, their eyes sharp as their behavior turns deliberate. Mai and Mai react instantly, sensing the shift and locking onto the source of danger. A wolf suddenly lunges forward, breaking the stillness and signaling the start of a real confrontation. Rin observes from the sky, calmly sensing an unfamiliar mana lingering in the area. She confirms that the source is definitely within the forest, narrowing down the threat's location. A strange magical disturbance spreads through the area as several figures with strong presences come into view. Rin observes them closely and realizes that one of these beings should not be capable of growing stronger. The scene shifts into a dark, ominous space tied to reincarnation, where the notion of an evil god and a looming curse is implied. Nox's cold perspective is revealed, suggesting that letting them die too soon would be a waste unless their lives serve a greater purpose. The thought continues as it becomes clear that the goal is not immediate destruction, but allowing them to live long enough to be made worthwhile. Nox notes that reincarnation combined with the curse consumes an enormous amount of magic. He orders Rin to find a suitable curse from the Shikigami bookshelf that meets specific conditions, and she acknowledges the task. The narration explains that even if only one weak pillar exists, a person summoned from another world still becomes the hero of that world. It adds that those blessed from birth with gifted bodies and abilities are guided into favorable environments. The scene cuts back to Rin in the present as she confirms the target's conditions, noting that the person remains weak and does not die. Rin begins searching on her own, acknowledging that it will take time to find the right curse. She digs through a massive collection, realizing the curse she's looking for is of significant magnitude. A specific curse book is pulled out, raising the question of whether a curse that fixes someone's status is too simple. Rin discovers that the curse was hidden on a secret shelf, nearly overlooked despite its power. Nox remarks that there are countless curses like this, admitting he can't remember them all. Rin reacts to the idea of being stuck at level 1 forever, recognizing it as a path that leads straight to despair. She remarks that just when someone gains hope after meeting a god, a cruel twist follows, finding the despair of a reincarnated soul, amusing as Nox shows clear excitement. Attention shifts to the spell book itself, hinting that this specific book is unusual. It's revealed that the spell book was sealed away, explaining why it remained unnoticed for so long. The Dark God once attempted to create a stat cap curse, which accidentally froze the entire status system. The curse is explained as allowing unlimited magic use as long as the victim remains below a fixed power level. It's revealed that the Dark God originally meant to gift it to a loyal follower, but after so much time passed, he completely forgot both its effects and existence. As a result, the status fixation curse was ultimately cast onto Haru. The aftermath is shown as the god's magic is slowly drained away, with the evil god paying a heavy price for the ritual. Back in the present, Rin attempts a farsight spell to locate the person affected, but she fails to find him and wonders if he might already be dead. Rin realizes the next generation's hero has not been confirmed yet and concludes that the target is still alive. She reasons that her farsight failing may be due to a massive barrier covering the area. Time is called into question as it's unclear how many years have passed since the curse was cast. Rin suddenly reacts, sensing the person's presence at last. The location comes into view as she identifies the source as being inside a forest. An emergency announcement is issued, ordering everyone to return to the starting point immediately as class is suspended. Students are told to keep their distance while instructions are broadcast to all participants. Rifa looks around in confusion, realizing that Tina is nowhere to be seen. Someone prepares for escalation, acknowledging that a large-scale spell may need to be unleashed. Tina stands ready as monsters begin moving, warning everyone to stay alert. Tina steps forward and calls out, noticing Rin nearby. Rin appears suspended in midair, her presence marked by a strong magical aura. A close view reveals Rin's calm expression as she looks down toward the ground. Tina confronts her directly, demanding to know who she is. As she moves through the forest, she realizes the monster's behavior is being influenced by something unseen. She calmly identifies the source behind the disturbance, singling out an outsider as the true cause. Her instincts react as her bloodline responds, revealing that the presence before her is tied to an evil god. Tina locks her gaze forward, resolving that this is the one she must strike down. She steps forward without hesitation, closing the distance with intent. Rin reacts in surprise, realizing Tina has already made her move. Tina charges forward and accuses Rin of being the one controlling the forest monsters. Without hesitation, Tina launches a killing strike meant to purge the threat. Rin reacts in shock and urgently tries to stop the attack. The blow detonates in a violent explosion that tears through the air. The distant students are thrown into panic as they witness the blast and realize Tina has been caught in it. Tina braces herself mid-air, eyes wide, as she realizes the attack failed to finish its target. Shock sets in when the aftermath clears and it becomes clear her strike had no effect. Rin stands unharmed within the dispersing clouds, calmly acknowledging the situation. A close look at Rin shows no hostility, only quiet awareness as she watches Tina. In a sudden shift, Tina is pulled downward as a powerful magic formation activates beneath her. Rin is jolted midair as a sudden force disrupts her control, leaving her confused by the backlash. Tina is hurled across the forest canopy, twisting as residual magic trails around her. She regains her balance in midair, steadying herself and preparing to counter. Something flashes high above as the surrounding trees react, branches bending under an unseen pressure. Rin is pushed back by the same force, realizing that her influence over the forest is being overridden. Rin steadies herself midair, realizing she cannot withdraw yet, and forces her magic to hold. A large magic circle flares beneath them as unstable energy surges upward. Tina suddenly closes in from behind, pressing the attack before Rin can react. A sharp shout cuts through the air as the clash draws attention from below. Tina unleashes a powerful blast, prompting Rin to run in a panic. Rin endures the burning pressure, realizing her proximity to the evil god is the source of the reaction. She pieces it together and understands that continuing to act will only worsen the situation. As flames surge, Rin senses that the creator might notice if this keeps escalating. Below, someone suddenly moves into action, leaping toward the unfolding chaos. Rin turns sharply as she notices that presence, recognizing Haru. Rin softens her expression as she realizes Tina's presence alone is enough to stabilize the situation. Tina catches Rin mid-air, pulling her away from the flames as the danger briefly subsides. The momentum carries them apart as Tina lands while Rin slips free from her grasp. Rin quietly entrusts Tina with protecting the others, forming a final spell with calm resolve. With a faint smile, Rin prepares to act on her own, hinting at a parting gift as Tina looks on. Tina senses something wrong as a sharp chill runs through her, her expression tightening in alarm. A blinding surge erupts ahead, and Tina instinctively reaches out, shouting for it to stop. Her eyes widen as she realizes the attack has already broken through, striking too fast to intercept. From the chaos, a monstrous figure emerges, and Tina reacts in shock as the threat closes in. The creature hurtles downward uncontrollably, warning that at this rate they will crash straight into the ground. Sheena cries out in shock, calling for Tina as she reaches toward the chaos. From a distance, the students spot a falling silhouette, realizing in disbelief that it might be Tina. Haru's eyes widen as he senses something is terribly wrong, panic setting in. He looks up and shouts Tina's name, watching helplessly as she continues to fall. Suddenly, Yoko appears and orders the monster to let go of Tina. As they plummet through the air, the masked monster drags Tina down with him while Yoko dives after them from below. Closing the distance, Yoko cocks his fist and shouts in fury, calling the monster out as he prepares to strike. As they fall, The monster swings a powerful downward punch toward the masked monster while Tina is caught between them. Yoko closes in midair, locking onto the monster with a sharp gaze as confusion flashes through his mind. He twists his body and launches a flying kick, but the monster doesn't even look like it's reacting yet. The kick lands hard, the impact bursting outward as the monster's body jerks from the blow. Watching in panic, Yoko shouts for Rifa to save the teacher as they continue plummeting. Rifa reacts with irritation, planting her hand down as she prepares to intervene despite the chaos. Tina spins helplessly in mid-air, her body completely inverted as he loses control. Rifa shouts in frustration, telling him to say something before jumping, then urgently calls out to Mel to catch Tina. Mel charges forward without hesitation, yelling for them to leave it to her as wind spirals around her fist. She kicks off a tree at full speed, launching herself upward to intercept Tina mid-fall. Mel crashes through the trees, branches snapping as her momentum tears a path downward. She twists mid-air and reaches out, barely closing the distance as Tina continues to fall. Mel finally catches Tina and absorbs the impact as they slam into the ground together. Ryuka rushes over in alarm, calling out to Tina when she sees her lying motionless. Mel immediately demands healing from Ryuka, realizing that Tina has already lost consciousness. Tina lies unconscious as the students check her condition, realizing something is seriously wrong beyond visible injuries. Yoko is called over urgently as Ryuka supports Tina and tries to keep her stable. Ryuka senses something unnatural and quickly identifies the cause as poison rather than physical damage. Yoko steels himself and stays alert as the situation turns more dangerous than expected. Nearby, the monster clenches his hands silently, hinting that the threat responsible is still close. Yoko realizes Tina collapsed because of poison, confirming the attack's true cause. Suddenly, Yoko is stunned when Luna shouts a breathing technique. She activates multiple buffs at once, reinforcing defenses, boosting power and speed, and deploying layered guards. Yoko calls out to Luna, thankful for the power-up. He warns to keep distance from the monster, concluding they'll need overwhelming force to break through his defenses. In a flashback, Yoko struggled to move and realized he couldn't push himself any further in his current state. As Ryuka joked about winning by forfeit, Yoko was scolded to stay down while he admitted he's become deadweight. Ryuka bluntly shut down the idea, refusing to treat the situation lightly. She explained that when Yoko collapsed, Haru informed them of what actually happened. Yoko concluded it wasn't that Tina was weak, but that the enemy was simply far stronger than expected. A warning rang out as Edgar spotted an opening and moved to strike. Ryuka reflected that she never expected a dragonkin to receive sympathy from a human, but she was glad Yoko was acknowledged. Presently, he steels himself and realizes this is not some tournament but a real fight with lives on the line. Even knowing the enemy is stronger, Yoko charges forward, declaring he'll do everything he can and unleashing Dragon Claw. A violent shockwave tears through the forest, scattering debris as the clash rages on. Haru and Sheena brace themselves while she observes closely and recognizes the unmistakable power of the dragonkin and confirms it with resolve. Yoko thanks Luna for her support even as he stays alert to the danger posed by their opponent. He admits he still can't lower his guard, having nearly exhausted all his mana despite Luna's assistance. Yoko extends his hand toward Luna and Luke, urging them to move quickly. He orders them to take Tina and get out of the area while they still can, as the ground continues to crumble. Suddenly, Haru warns Yoko about something behind him. He turns at once, channeling power into his arm as he braces himself. The enemy shifts again, their movement signaling another imminent attack. The ground erupts violently as debris and pressure surge outward, forcing everyone to brace themselves. Luke and Luna freeze in shock, sensing something far more dangerous approaching. Haru steps forward instinctively, raising his hand as he locks his eyes on the threat. A heavy presence lands, the monster's feet sinking into the earth as ominous energy radiates outward. Sheena narrows her eyes and confirms it without hesitation that the enemy before them is a demon. The monster stands calmly, its massive body radiating menace as it fixes its gaze on Yoko. Luke shouts and unleashes Thunderbind, lightning bursting forward to restrain the demon. Crackling chains of electricity wrap around the monster's body, striking hard as the attack lands. The demon grins beneath its mask, unfazed, its many eyes gleaming with amusement. Someone urgently yells for Yoko to fall back as the demon retaliates with overwhelming force. Yoko realizes the truth that when a dragonkin transforms, its scales harden like steel, and only someone at his level can buy them time. The monster flexes as the lightning chains strain and spark, its body barely restrained. Yoko tightens his stance, sensing danger as the pressure suddenly shifts. Sheena shouts in alarm as his mana surges sharply, urging Yoko to fall back at once. Footsteps enter the scene, and Mei reacts in disbelief, mentioning first about a red-clad woman and now a demon too. Watching from the sidelines, Mai and Mei hesitate, questioning whether they should really help him and decide to keep observing for now. Mai suddenly pauses in disbelief, calmly reasoning that if Haru can't handle even this much, then there's no point worrying further. Mei adds that it simply proves Mai isn't worth making a pact with, her expression firm and unimpressed. After a brief pause, they quietly agree, choosing to stand back and see how things unfold. Mai softly addresses Haru, triggering a flashback as he asked her why she was calling him that again. She recalled the aftermath of the training ground incident, showing the damaged academy building. In the memory, Mei praised Haru for how amazing he was back then and boldly asks if he would make a contract with her. Affirming that he was Lord Haru for her, Mei was gently teased for being too strict with calling Haru Lord. While it was pointed out that even Sheena formed a contract with him herself and controlling a nine-tailed fox at such a young age was already impressive. A brief flashback highlighted Haru unleashing overwhelming flames, emphasizing the sheer magnitude of his power. Mai excitedly said that if she could form a contract with Haru, she would definitely become something incredible. Mei hesitated, quietly starting to say Mai's name as her expression turned serious. She responded calmly that she can say that only because she has never made a contract with a human. Mai apologized softly, admitting she got carried away as her expression eases. She reassured Mai that she would never force her to make a pact, reminding her that she wanted to choose carefully this time. A reflective scene showed Mai staying by Mei's side, wishing she would someday meet a water mage she truly wanted to contract with and recalling how they once hoped to share the same contractor together. As their hands parted, the moment lingered, showing quiet acceptance and growth. Mei reflected that while the feeling was a little lonely, she was glad her older sister had finally learned to let go. Presently, Mei hesitates, her thoughts trailing off. She declares that if everyone is truly in danger, then they'll jump in and fight alongside them, standing firm with resolve. Mai turns to her, calling out her name as he processes her decision. She brightens immediately, agreeing enthusiastically with Mei. They decide to move closer without delay. Mai's wolves suddenly react, baring its fangs as she asks what's wrong. She senses danger and warns that something is coming their way, realizing the magic feels on par with Lord Ifrit. The wolves tense as a powerful presence draws closer, its approach accompanied by an oppressive heat. Mei admits she isn't as skilled with flames as Mai, yet even she can clearly feel the intense mana approaching. From a distance, a red-clad figure appears through the heat haze, watched closely by the wolves. A knight clad in radiant armor appears, flames swirling around him as his presence scorches the air. Mai stares in awe, calling it beautiful as she senses an overwhelming purity in the fire before her. A unicorn-like spirit manifests in the forest, glowing as it lets out a sharp cry under the blazing light. Shocked, Mei questions what just happened, realizing the phenomenon wasn't magic and recalling legends of something similar. A subtle movement of a hand hints that the mysterious force has already vanished as suddenly as it appeared. Mai is called out, her attention snapping back as she turns to respond. Fired up, Mai declares that she needs to see the truth for herself. Convinced, she reasons that if that power truly was Haru's spell, she'll ask him directly to form a pact with her. Mei hesitates, quietly considering the possibility as doubt and curiosity mix in her expression. The thought lingers that if Lord Haru can wield water magic as well, everything changes. Even knowing that staying with Mai forever is impossible, the thought still lingers in silence. Mei admits that just imagining it makes her chest ache, wishing it could have been real. Mai presses forward, determined not to let go of her sister, refusing to fall behind. Suddenly, movement erupts as the monster charges in, cutting through the forest with force. Caught off guard, Yoko reacts instantly, his eyes widening as he senses the incoming threat. He suddenly notices the scales on his arm cracking, realizing the dragon's skin has been damaged. In the next instant, he twists his body and counters, barely keeping up with the monster's blinding speed. A sharp strike lands, injuring him as the force tears through the exchange. Rifa's name is shouted in shock as the moment freezes, signaling an abrupt turn in the fight. The severed, scale-covered hand crashes to the ground, ending the clash on a brutal note. Yoko braces himself, gripping his wounded arm. Yoko grimaces as he realizes that even the demon's attacks are laced with poison, worsening his condition. Luke and Luna react in alarm as they sense the danger escalating. Haru is stunned while Luke tightens his expression as he begins forming a spell. He releases his attack, unleashing Light Whip. Luke swings the Light Whip, collecting Yoko without hesitation. Someone suddenly calls out urgently to Haru, asking him to hurry and figure out something about the demon before it's too late. Luna panics, warning that if the demon keeps this up, everyone there will be killed. Frustration boils over as Luca clenches his teeth, admitting that no matter how hard he tries, he just can't act fast enough. Luke shouts at Haru to use his power if he truly has it, pushing him to act. The latter hesitates and admits he already tried casting a spell, but nothing responded. As he stumbles forward, Haru realizes he has to get closer despite his uncertainty. A magic circle suddenly forms beneath the demon's feet, signaling a reaction at last. The demon notices the activation and shifts its attention toward the source of the spell. Haru urgently calls out to Mei as something shifts on the battlefield. Mei maintains the magic formation but realizes she has lost sight of the flame horse amid the chaos. The flame horse's legs reappear, igniting the ground as it charges forward once more. Mei gasps as she senses its presence again, while Haru realizes the summon has returned. The flame horse surges ahead in a burst of fire, moving to rejoin the fight at full force. The armored knight clashes head-on with the demon, their weapons colliding violently. The demon recoils as its mask is grabbed, momentarily stunned by the sudden counterattack. The knight swings in a wide arc, slashing past the demon as blood sprays across the air. Seeing the new combatant, Rifa hesitates and asks if this warrior is an ally. The monster counters with action, driving another heavy strike into the knight's body. Wounds appear in the knight's stomach. However, their position is changed when the knight pierces the monster instead. Realizing the turning point, Haru concludes that the demon's core has already been destroyed. Despite the fatal damage, the demon snarls and forces itself forward, refusing to fall quietly. Its arms suddenly regenerates. Haru realizes the demon's skill, making the situation even more dangerous. Sheena calmly explains that the only way to end it is to completely destroy its core, even if it means using full magic power. She pauses as the weight of that decision sinks in, her expression turning serious. Tina winces in pain, clearly reaching her physical limit. Tina checks on the situation as Mel warns Tina that she can't push herself any further. Haru watches closely as the atmosphere shifts, sensing a massive surge of power. Sheena narrows her eyes, calmly confirming her decision. She reveals that she has finally stored energy equal to 2 tails, her aura flaring violently. Declaring it is for Haru's sake, she releases her magic in full, unleashing a blazing wave of power. She orders everyone caught by the barrier to get inside, leaving the final move to Haru. Tina thanks Sheena as flames continue to surge around her, acknowledging her support. Sheena urges her master not to hold back, and Haru calls out her name as he steadies himself. Before the fight continues, Tina asks Haru for a favor, her expression serious. She states that the demon cannot be defeated by ordinary strength alone. She explains that a single demon is capable of wiping out an entire small nation, and that even losing limbs would not slow it down. The demon stands wounded yet unyielding, and it's made clear that only overwhelming firepower can finish it by completely obliterating its core. Tina shouts for him to give everything he has got and protect everyone. Haru's expression hardens as he steels himself. He calls the timing, counting them in as he declares they'll bring the demon down together. Haru gathers his flames in his hand, vowing he won't make a mistake again as his power surges to its peak. Haru responds instantly, flames surging around him as he signals that he's ready. Trusting the faith placed in him, he gathers his power and commits fully. Determined not to fail this time, he releases the condensed flames in a single decisive strike, unleashing a blazing fire lance toward the demon's core.